So good afternoon, everybody. A few weeks ago, I went to Donovan's Pub, which is a pub in Queens, New York, and it was around Memorial Day. It was actually when I was going to AEW Double or Nothing, and I stopped here, got a nice burger. It was actually in George Motz's Hamburger Americas as a recommendation. And before I talk about how my experience was at the burger place, I want to talk a little bit about some facts about Donovan. We actually go through 400 pounds of something called ground shell steak, which is New York strip. That's just the meat that they use to make the burgers from. And also that they have when they make the burgers, they make it close to like half a pound. And it was also opened in the 1970s. And what was really significant about it is that, when Donovan's was built, a church was built close by Donovan's a little bit afterwards. And there's a law in New York State saying that, you can't have a pub too close to a church. But with Donovan's, what happened was that they said, "Hey, we're not going to move our pub. We were here first." And then the state of New York ruled, saying, "Okay, well, since Donovan's was here first and the church was built afterwards, that's the only place that can violate that planning and zoning law." So it's like the closest pub in New York State to a church. And there is a tradition where what happens is that there are fans who of the New York Mets, and what they'll do is they'll go to Donovan's, get a couple of drinks, and then afterwards they'll go to church and pray for the Mets to actually win. The first thing that I ordered were the wings, and I had no problem with it. It had a really great flavor. When you go to places like Hooters, the flavor is very, very, very saturated. The only thing that was bad about the wings was that when I bit into it, the bones were breaking apart. So I knew if I put it in my mouth and I wasn't careful, I probably would be, getting like a cheek piercing or whatever, really. But it had a really good flavor. The next thing was there was an Irish beer that I got. I don't remember the name of it, but it was good. It had the right amount of bitter for me. I'm not like into super bitter or super dark beers. It was like a nice golden color. I did when I drank it, it felt a little watered down, but I did like the bitter flavor of it. When I ordered my burger patty, I ordered the bacon cheddar burger, and it came with onion rings. Yeah, there's a lot of things that I like about this. Now, first of all, the onion rings are really, really big. So I like how you don't see a huge, pool of onion rings. It's almost like if I was to get a bunch of fries, really. I'm happy I don't see a mound of fries. I'm happy I don't see a mound of onion rings. I just see four. So four is like good. The cheddar, it really stands out. Nice, yellow, vibrant. Then you got the bacon, you got your tomato, you got your lettuce, very savory. Look at that burger patty glistening in its own like grease. Also, I like that it wasn't super greasy because, I've had onion rings that are like calamari in the sense where calamari is super greasy. So it's almost like when I eat calamari, I feel like it's like a main course, not an appetizer. When I ate these onion rings, I felt like hungry enough to enjoy my burger. So when I had the burger, there were some things that I liked and didn't like. It was definitely very filling. And when I eat a burger, I want to be filled. I don't not like McDonald's burgers or White Castle or other burger places where the patty is super thin and it's like I gotta have multiple burgers. Or, like I've kind of said, that some restaurants, you eat a burger, and it feels like you're eating a cheese sandwich with meat. It doesn't feel like you're eating a burger. But the burger patty was definitely very hefty. I felt very full afterwards. The other thing about it was that the burger bun was really small. So it's almost like a lot of things fell off, really. So it's almost like you bit into it, it was like, boom, everything falls off, really. I'm not a fan of that. I wish the buns were a little bit bigger to hold everything. And the other thing that I liked about it was that, it was a good size. It was like half a pound. It was very meaty. It was very juicy. It was a little bit greasy. And I noticed like a lot of good burger places are like that. You have a greasy taste of the burger, but it's not like, highly greasy, or it's not like, we're swimming in grease. When I make burgers at home, sometimes what I do is that I'll take the burger patty and I'll just like put it back into the pan and and bathe it in all the burger grease. Or sometimes what I'll do is I'll pour the bacon grease and the burger grease on top of my burger when it's done, really. But I don't get that type of sense. Really. I don't feel like this was like a grease bath or anything like that. It had the right amount of grease to it. The cuts of bacon were very like crispy, very thick. You know, I really enjoyed it. It was definitely a very very delectable burger. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to finish it. I think I maybe had like 5% of it left really because it was such a huge piece of so it was such a huge cut of meat. The last thing that I ordered was the mousse cake. It had a very strong chocolatey taste to it. I appreciate the cake crust, and it was nice and it tasted like it tasted a lot like an Oreo cookie. It had a nice cookie crumble taste to it. It was really delicious. They put a lot of whipped cream on it, and I like that because that way it contrasts the chocolatey flavor of it. And overall, I spent around $40, around like probably $44. I gave them like $10 tip. It was well worth it. It was also a restaurant that, in my opinion, that the service was really really good. Yesterday I went to Buffalo Wild Wings, and I was mad because it took them like 80 minutes to give me my food, but here at Donovan's, it took like maybe like 40 minutes for me to get in and get out, get everything. Restaurant standard is 15 minutes. I would recommend this restaurant. Very delicious food. Whenever I come to Queens, I want to try the other burgers on the menu. They have like an Elvis burger, which is like peanut butter on a burger. Part of me wants to try, but part of me feels like it's going to be a huge letdown. But, you live once. I got to try that one time. But it was well worth my time. I really enjoyed Donovan's, and I totally recommend anybody to try this restaurant if you're in the Queens area.